Welcome to the Arrow of Time, everybody. My name is Matt.
I'm Joseph.
I am Gabe.
And we are going sans editing today.
This is a live podcast, you
Yes.
guys. The only difference is you can't hear it live.
Right.
Live-ish. It's also episode
144.
133.
133.
Give or take 11.
I don't really keep track of that, honestly.
Wait, that means this is the 133rd episode of the Arrow Time or the 33rd episode of the Arrow Time?
No, this is actually the 145th episode of the Arrow Time.
Wow.
Yes.
Because we have some times and some halves in there.
We do. I haven't done those in a long time. Or we haven't done those in a long time, so...
Well, that was...
Actually, no, we did do one kind of fairly recently, but...
It helped mind the gap.
Yes. Which probably didn't need to be minded. We just could have just had an actual episode there. I don't know. Whatever. We'll do things again.
I think mind the gap was a quote from the Doctor in this...
Oh, I wasn't paying attention.
In Oxygen.
This episode? What is this episode called? Oh, you just said it.
Oxygen.
Oxygen.
It's from Oprah.
It's a little generic. It's sort of like Gravity or the other one that was in space.
The Passenger?
Inception.
No, wait.
No, there was Gravity. There was the other one.
Oh, yeah, there's that one. It was
with
like
George Clooney. No, that was Gravity.
No,
Yeah.
Solaris.
So, spacey, Event Horizon, Black Hole.
Yeah, that one.
That one, okay.
So we have an episode that was written by our hero Jamie Matheson of Flatliners. He did Flatliners.
He did
Flatline, and he also did
Mummies on the Orient Express.
Wait, Don't Kill Me.
Yes.
Yeah, he's definitely become, I think, this podcast's personal favorite.
Well, we don't know. We haven't seen this episode yet.
No, we did.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, we haven't talked about this episode yet. So everything could change in the blink of an eye.
That's
Oh, wait, no, it's a
different
different guy.
Also, I will point out, it was directed by Charles Palmer.
Charles Palmer. What did he do?
Most recently, he did Human Nature, Family of Blood.
Well, that was a good one.
Yeah, that was.
That was a while ago.
Yeah,
Let's talk about that one instead.
Also, might I point out that one was originally written for... it was written as a Seventh Doctor story. Sometime after Doctor Who ended, but...
It was, and that's one of my favorites of the past, 20 years. But... No, that's not quite right. 12 years. But
It feels like 20.
the direction is obviously distinct from the writing. So.
Right.
But I think in both cases it was pretty well done. Like,
Yeah.
I have no complaints.
I'm just trying to make all these Seventh Doctor references because I also know that we have Rona Myrtle or Mona Ronnie.
Mara Myrtle.
Yes,
Rhonda Reynolds. The survival gal.
Yes.
Everything's coming up cat food.
Everything's coming up cat food in a couple of episodes, but first a couple of Stephen Moffat episodes and then this one.
Oh, is Moffat back?
Moffat's he's coming back up. That's probably later in the podcast.
He'll be here next week.
Oh.
Next week.
Wow, we got Stephen Moffat. Fine. It took 134 episodes. There's this Australian guy, Paul Verhoeven, whatever his name is. He got Stephen Moffat in like 4 episodes. What are we doing wrong?
It was Rona Munro.
Rona Munro. That sounds like one of those like comedy names. I'm Rona Munro, like where it sounds so similar that it is like a children's television edutainment show.
Like Doctor Who.
Oh my gosh. What do I think I'm watching here?
So what did we learn this week on Doctor Who?
So let's talk about Oxygen.
Well, okay, it's made of
Capitalism is
2
terrible.
oxygen atoms combined together to create the O2 molecule. It
Doesn't
is
have to be-
stable
doesn't-
at
doesn't have to be O2.
STP. What?
We can breathe more than just O2.
You can't. You die. You want some O3? It's not going to be good.
What happens with O3?
Well, it doesn't work.
Oh.
There's like
That's ozone. It kills you.
there's like carbon dioxide and monodioxide and
You don't want those either. Those kill you too.
Anyway,
Also, you don't want H2O, but that's a different episode.
I'm just going to come right out and say I love this episode. I think that this is up there for me with Thin Ice. Like, truly phenomenal Doctor Who.
I will say that when I watched this episode, because I watched it apart from your guys' viewing, and I was like, oh, Gabe's going to love this episode.
You were right.
Because it had all those allegories, and not so actually allegory-ish. It was like straight up.
They kind of just came out and said it.
Yeah, they did.
What do you think I was going to think of it?
I thought that you were probably going to like finally enjoy it, maybe not love it. I think that would have been asking too much, but I thought that you would have been like, "Oh, okay, all right, now this is
Okay. I'll give you that. Am I done now? Can I leave?
No.
Oh.
No. Well, then I hate it.
So-
It's the worst podcast episode. I mean, episode of TV, whatever. I don't care.
So right from the get-go, like, they lead off with the Doctor saying, "Space, the final frontier."
Right.
And I think that I, like, fanboyed a little bit.
Did you wee a little bit?
Yeah.
Because that, of course, is the classic line from the beginning of, I'm going to say the wrong thing. Just, you know I'm going to say the wrong thing.
Star Trek. It's Star Trek. Let's not mince words here.
Yes.
It's Star Trek.
The Doctor knew what he was doing.
But what does it have to do with the episode? Let's find out.
Well, no,
The answer is nothing, folks.
The episode more or less begins with the Doctor giving a lecture about the dangers of space.
Yes. And I like, too, that when he goes into this space, the final frontier monologue, and talks about why it's called the final frontier, because it's always trying to kill you, and then goes into all the possible ways that space is trying to kill you. Or, like, when you go into space, you have to be so heavily protected because it's unlivable, which I think is kind of interesting, and I thought that was kind of that was fun. It's not necessarily glorifying space, but it's just like saying, here's all the dangers of space, but it's setting it up as like something that is not a friendly, whimsical.
Do we have a problem glorifying space? Are people like going around saying, you know what, you better move to space, it's so good in space, you guys?
Well, I think that there is a certain like romance. Well, and it definitely something that the Doctor goes about in this episode, where he talks about missing space, and there's even a discussion about it. But this is one of the times, I think this is one of the few times in Doctor Who where I've heard the Doctor really talk about space as like a truly like dangerous, deadly, not because of all the aliens coming, but just because space as it is, this big vacuum that's trying to suck out your life form.
Right. So one of the things about this episode that I noted from the get-go and saw from the reviews that I read is this episode's taking a turn towards more serious sci-fi.
Right.
And they're not subtle about it. They map it out from the get-go with his lecture about
draws a skull on the board.
The ways that space wants to kill you.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I think it's kind of funny where it seems lately with just the situation that the Doctor is in, he's doing more and more of these episodes, or at least a couple of them. He precedes the episode by doing a lecture about something, and almost kind of in the way that like Seinfeld, like Jerry Seinfeld would be up on stage doing like a stand-up bit about the episode that you're going to watch.
Well, this is edutainment.
But
we're learning about space. Everything he says is right.
But the real payoff here was after this long drawn out lecture about how space is dangerous. One of his students is like, "What's that got to do with crop rotation?" So presumably, the lecture should have been about crops.
But whatever he's teaching, who knows at this point?
Yes. There's also a joke from the very first episode was that he's just getting up there and talk about whatever he wants to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sorry.
We got the point.
I was underscoring Seinfeld under you.
I'm vomiting.
What's the deal
So
with Ganymede? Anyway, yes.
I think that that was one of the things I liked about it, though, was it did take a more serious, like, sci-fi turn. It was like consciously trying to move away from the space fantasy,
Right.
science fantasy, because like right from the get-go, when you think about one of the first episodes with the 11th Doctor and Amy, when she's hanging out of the TARDIS and he's like holding her by her ankle,
Yeah.
it's kind of making light of space. Like, there's no danger here,
We're protected by a membrane or oxygen membrane.
which they do mention here.
Just like, in this episode, the TARDIS is completely protected from space.
Yes.
But they start off by making the distinction of beginning the episode with "this is the way space will kill you," and then within like 5 minutes, they've lost their oxygen membrane. So,
But it's mostly just bad planning.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Doctor was not quite on top of things. If he saw the signs earlier, because they actually show us a screen that says, like, unauthorized oxygen detected. If he'd just been paying attention, they would have been fine.
Oh, did we just skewer past that bit with the couple that were the setup scene?
Unimportant.
Well, that was also in the pre-credits.
That's the pre-credit scene where there's just one thing I did want to point out. I always enjoy it in Doctor Who, where I notice, because I work in or I have worked in an theatrical element of entertainment, and so whenever I see like spacey or futuristic-y type things, but they're things that I work with, like they were climbing up like a little lighting truss in space, and
You climb up
in
not space.
I was like, I've put those together. Like I've put a truss together and like with all the nuts and bolts and all that. I'm like, this looks so familiar because I know these things so well. And it's just so funny where it's like, okay, we're in space climbing up this. Or there's like a point later in the episode where there's like a connector like in the suit where they connect something in.
It was oxygen, I think.
Yeah, he has oxygen.
That wasn't oxygen.
And
No, the little tubes had oxygen.
No, Matt's about to tell us what it is.
oh well, at least the connection point is like a speaker cable. Like that's what you would plug a speaker cable into.
Absolutely.
I'm like,
You're not getting oxygen off that.
yeah,
Unless it's audio oxygen.
audio oxygen. It's the DJ oxygen. Don't die, don't die, don't die, don't die, don't die, don't die, don't die.
It's not working, DJ oxygen.
Oh.
Well,
Yes, but there was sadness and something at the beginning and whatever. Who cares? Doesn't matter. They're not
Yeah.
important. They both die.
well, so one of the things that
Actually, no, they don't.
Oh, wait. Only one dies.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Spoilers.
Spoilers, but it is. But they do have those magnetic moon boots.
Oh, balloons.
Which, when I was looking at it, I was like, that's the first thing that's going to kill somebody if you're not, like, roped or tethered into anything, and you're just going, like, these magnetic boots are going to keep me from flying off into space.
They're
It's
made
like,
for walking.
It's like, it takes one malfunction for those to not work anymore, and then you're flying off into space.
Like in the movie Gravity, starring whoever, I don't know.
Or like in the movie, or in the Tim Robbins in that.
Oh, in Shawshank Redemption. That's right, where he tries to burrow out of space. And
Do you remember that movie?
No.
There's a movie, Tim Robbins. It might have been Mission to Mars, actually.
That was like a bunch of movies for a while were Mission to Mars.
Yeah, and I think that might have been it. And yeah, Tim Robbins is in it, and he starts floating off into space, and then like lifts up. He basically commits suicide because like this isn't good, and it's not going to get better. And then like lifts up his shield, and then his face goes, and it's like, thank you, Disney. Anyway, back on track. We have a zombie-ish
Problem.
So
Oh.
yeah. So anyway,
It's Zomproms here on Doctor Who.
Zomproms. So he misses space. The Doctor misses space. We're back in that. And he wants to fly into outer space. And young Nardole is...
Young?
Okay. Well, younger than the Doctor, comparatively. Mr. Nardole, Sir Nardole of Dole, is very worried about this because he, again, has his oath. And do you know what would happen if that thing, who gets out? So...
Maybe this season would actually pick up and become interesting?
By the way, I think Jamie Matheson. I was reading an article on the internet, and Jamie Matheson just remarked about. They said, "Oh, who do you think is in the vault?" And he said, with a chortle. Peter Cushing from the 1960s Dalek movies to make his Doctor canon.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
Wait, no, Peter Cushing is dead. Oh, that's sad.
They would have to CGI it like in Rogue One.
Oh, and they got the model.
No,
that would just be too interesting.
Yes.
At this point, I'm guessing there's probably like a nice salad in there.
A nice salad.
Something very plain and ordinary. That's not a problem at all, but you have to keep it sealed for freshness.
Oh, yeah. Because those salads, you can't really save salads for too long.
They get wilty.
You have to throw them out unless they were in a big vault.
Mm-hmm. And Noddle's really worried about it because, like, if the salad goes bad, what are we going to have for dinner? Come on, Doctor. Think.
It was a really good salad.
For once.
It was a really good salad.
Anyway, we're really
we're not doing the thing that
Gabe
we
here.
Sorry.
Gabe is like, what are you talking about, you fools?
So one of the notes that I made was that the threaded credits to me felt like it was from the RTD era. Like, I really got that. Like, if you go back and just watch like the 30 seconds before the threaded credits.
Oh yeah.
It really was like, and I'm not criticizing that. Like,
yeah, like in a good way.
Yeah.
Like yay.
There's definitely...
Because I think we're kind of romanticizing now the RTT era. I know earlier...
Yes, I am.
Yes. But earlier in this podcast's history, there's been time...
Before I joined.
Yes. Where Joseph and I could not wait to get rid of RTD, to move away from this horrible... era of everything plus the kitchen sink Doctor Who, and we couldn't wait to embrace ourselves into the world of Stephen Moffat.
And we'll admit when we're wrong.
Yes. I just want to go back and listen to one of those episodes and going, "Oh, young Matt and Joseph."
That was like 7 years ago, and that's not a joke. That's not me being hyperbolic. We've been doing this podcast longer than Stephen Moffat has actually been running the show.
That's not true.
Because he's only done 5 years of the show. And we've been doing this podcast for 7 years. So we beat him.
He took over in 2011.
We started this in 2010. So take that, Stephen Moffat.
I'm sorry, he began in 2010.
Oh, so we tied him. Dang.
Yeah.
Dang.
But he started with the 11th in 2010.
Yes.
There we go.
But he only made 5 years of a TV show in 7 years. So we're still ahead of him.
Yes. So
one of the things that I really loved... and I've actually loved this season so far, is Capaldi is truly shining. Like, this is the Doctor we saw glimpses of greatness, but like now he's like the star that was igniting in the previous couple seasons has caught, and he's like fully
he's fully inflamed.
Yes.
Yes. Right before he is about to get doused.
Well, he'll burn out because he's burning too bright.
But I mean, like right from the get-go, there's a distress call, and there's a little line about, "That's my theme tune."
Oh yes, I love it. There's a lot of really great lines that he has in there. That is super doctory. And I can't remember exactly where he says it, but he talks about how like important fear is, or fear keeps you safe. There's a thing that he says about like fear in a positive light that I think like negates something he said probably like earlier. I think maybe in Smile, where he talks about it being bad, or don't try not to think about it. I don't know. It's just, there's a lot of like crossover writing.
I mean, so like he had that line, "This is my theme tune," a distress call. In that same scene, is like, the universe shows its true face when it asks for help, and we show ours and how we respond. I mean, that's like the Doctor that I love.
Gabeism number one, and that's one of the first things that attuned me to this. That said, hey, you know what? Gabe's going to enjoy this one.
Yeah. See, I mean, that was good. And also there was a little bits in that same little scene when Nardole is like fighting him, and the Doctor is joking about, see how reliable I am, because he took the little fluid thing, and he's like, who told you that? Oh yeah. And like, and the TARDIS takes off, and then he also goes a bit further. He's like, I'm blocking your pay for this.
Yes, I love that. Where, Nardole's fighting with the Doctor because he said that he got orders from him to make sure that he remains on Earth.
Yes.
And so it's almost kind of like he's like his two different personas fighting with Nardole. Why'd you make me do this? That's hard. It's fun though. I love it.
Yeah, me too. So seeing that little bit of the Doctor, that glimmer in his eye, like it's fantastic, and
it's the funness that I think I was missing in some of the other episodes.
Right, I agree.
Do you have any comments for this?
Yeah, you mean how he's what's the word? When you lie to someone to make them think that they're crazy. It's important these days. Yes. So when the Doctor's gaslighting Nardole, that's fun and exciting.
I think it's not necessarily...
When he's literally telling him, you're making me do the thing I told you to do, and I hate you for it, that's a good scene?
I thought it was quite humorous.
Okay.
Me too.
Yes. Also, I think that it's not necessarily the Doctor gaslighting. I would say that it would be more of the Doctor, like, truly kind of going back and forth with all of his different... that he's very strong and hard-nosed about where he's going, and then about what he's going to do. And then even though he told Nardole, like, it could be like literally the Doctor being so mad and crazy and all over the place.
Well, he actually does say in this episode that he is genuinely crazy.
Yes.
So,
I mean, that's never been a secret that the Doctor's kept.
Well, he's likened himself as a madman in a box before, but that's more of a recent thing. Well, okay, I should say recent. Yeah. It's like a fluctuating thing. Like the Doctor's own desire to be called crazy goes up and down over the years.
Right. Yes.
So, like your David Tennant, your Christopher Eccleston, they wouldn't call themselves crazy, but your Matt Smiths, he was kind of getting that era.
Although I will say David Tennant didn't come out and call himself crazy, but he would just do things like when he says in the Christmas Invasion, where he talks about, there's a big red button, I'm gonna want to press it, like this kind of like unpredictableness, or even in going to the Human Nature and what was the second one?
Family of Blood.
Family of Blood, where he goes in the spaceship and he's kind of he's playing like a silly person and just hitting like all the buttons, and you shouldn't have let me hit all those buttons. I think that he has like this. Definitely, I don't think Christopher Eccleston necessarily had it too much, but I think there were hints of it being dropped, but it wasn't explicitly said with David Tennant, and then Matt Smith, like very quickly in the first coined Madman in the Box, and then kind of stuck with that. And then now we've got it pushed even further with Capaldi being like, "I'm crazy. I'm just completely crazy." But that's not a recent thing. But, so, okay, he was gaslighting him. There we go.
I don't know. I just wanted to say a word that was popular. People say that now on the internet.
Yeah, well, thank you for explaining that to me. I'm actually learning a lot of things on this podcast. I had no idea what that was.
We're edutainment here.
This is edutainment.
Now let's learn about the Aztecs.
The Aztecs is a mascot for at San Diego State University, of which is my alma mater. And it is controversial.
All three of us have gone to
all three of us.
Yes.
We've all bemodded that school.
Yes.
Anyway.
So pretty early on, the doctor answers the distress call, goes to this space station, extends the TARDIS's oxygen bubble,
right,
so they can breathe.
They put new oxygen into the environment.
So almost immediately, as somebody pointed out, there was a warning: unauthorized oxygen.
I do like. There's a thing where when he talks about the oxygen bubble, and Bill says, "Oh, like how big can it get?" And he's like, "This big," whoosh, and it just basically like expands the whole entire.
We assume it covers space, the whole station.
Yeah, the whole station. Him showing off. Him showing off his bubble.
Well, I mean, in theory, it could be almost infinitely big, but
there's really nothing stopping it.
Yeah.
As long as those doors stay open.
Right.
But yeah, so there's a oxygen warning, and then we learn the station cracks down on unauthorized oxygen to protect the prices.
Right.
Because we're living in a future dystopian capitalist society.
Right.
Do they say what era this is on the episode?
No.
Okay. Because we have some ideas of eras, and this could be very easily the long game era.
Well, actually,
of badness in humanity.
If you remember, when I was talking to you off podcast,
which doesn't happen.
What? You were talking off podcast.
I mentioned how this reminded me of the long game.
The space station?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because there's something about that kind of dystopian future that seems to kind of resonate in this episode.
Right.
Even though this is a much smaller station with like 40 people.
It is a little bit bright and happier, but is also RTD at the helm.
Well, right. RTD makes killing people happy.
Yes.
How does the acid factor into this?
The acid?
You remember the acid? Like we have doppelgangers and we're getting acid for some reason.
That was the Moffat era.
Oh yeah, but how does it? Is that the same era as this? Because that's like a weird thing where they're killing their employees for acid.
That's right.
It's very strange. They have a lot of problems in the future.
Doppelganger.
I'm glad it's not the future.
Sorry, that was a Twin Peaks reference.
Oh, you were saying it backwards?
Trying to, yeah. Doppelganger.
I did hear that gum you like is coming back into fashion, or whatever. Twin Peaks reference, folks.
So pretty early on, things that stuck out to me: the station shuts the doors so they lose the oxygen from the TARDIS.
Right.
The Doctor's screwdriver is smashed.
Yes. I love the fact that whenever the Doctor seems to break or destroy his screwdriver, it never he always reacts like he's upset that it's happened, but never like with the severity that I feel like it should be, because his sonic screwdriver is like a magic wand, and it's always like, oh, this is an inconvenience. Especially like in the Smith and Jones, where he breaks the screwdriver trying to overload it. He's like, oh, my screwdriver, I like my screwdriver. Oh, this is nice.
But I think the reason why it broke early was if he still had it, it would have been a fairly easy solution.
Yeah.
To opening doors and whatevers.
It's the same reason why the 5th through 7th Doctors didn't have a screwdriver.
Because John Nathan Turner decided that...
that's a name I haven't heard in a while. Oh, wow. Memories.
Yep.
No, but yeah, because it's a little too powerful.
Yeah.
Well, but then they threw the thing like deadlock the doors, so they could have gotten around that just as easily by calling out the deadlock. So
yeah.
There was more to it. Like, the screwdriver is pretty OP at this point.
It doesn't work on wood.
It was a wooden space station.
Now that would be a twist.
Yes.
A twist.
A twist. Completely fries the guy, the
zappy man, bad person,
the corpse. Now, what do you think about the villain, or I guess the villain is the suits back on Earth?
Actually, the villain is the corporation.
Yeah. Which I was making the reference between the suits and the suits.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So,
but we have this other baddie of the suits. What they literally call the suits of
spacesuits.
The spacesuits, and these corpses in the spacesuits that are just kind of walking around. So, how do you feel about this? That's basically, it touches the suit, and then it whatever. I guess it's not necessarily a virus, but it can kind of work like that. Tells the suit, "Oh, you need to kill the organism in you."
Oh, the premise there was that the ones that were not effective, they were like doing something that required them to be off the grid.
Yeah.
So they hadn't got the update yet.
Yes.
The update being not a virus, but how it's supposed to work. And they didn't realize that.
Right. But I do like how it kind of took this zombie kind of like thing. Yeah, so in a zombie type scenario, it would be a zombie virus. This way, it's an update.
Yes.
Well, so
this is why you always double check before you update your software.
That's something that Apple would do.
So in actuality, a lot of the previews looked like it would be a zombie story. In actuality, it's not zombie at all.
Right.
The people weren't doing it; it was the suits.
Right. Yeah. So it was. These were 100% certified bona fide corpses that did not come back to life. It was just the suits.
I forget which review it was, but there was a review that I read that actually complained about the bodies still being visible because it made it look like zombies.
Yes, but it wasn't zombies.
Right. It was actually just the actual mechanics of the suit.
Because we saw the one suit that was just working on its own without a person inside.
Right. So, was the complaint that the bodies didn't really have anything to do with anything?
Yes. Which I think is fair.
It's fair, but it's also like I think it adds to a creepy factor of it's what the suits were doing was actually killing people. So it's not just it wasn't that they expelled the bodies. Like it added to the mystery of it. It was the reason for the mystery, and it showed you what the result was. Now, yes, the way that they packaged it was a little bit misleading of this is a zombie story, which it wasn't, but it also therein created a more creepier look.
And if we talk about the suits themselves, it was a little creepy because the message was, please stand by while we deactivate your nervous system.
Yes.
And that was like a pretty... Like, imagine being in the suit and you're completely helpless. That would be terrifying that there's nothing you can do.
And this is what I'm going to become. And I feel like just having blank suits would be not the best. Like, I feel like it wouldn't grab that point across so much of like, yeah, these suits will kill you, but yeah, I don't know. It seems like the immediacy or it's just something that's reinforcing these cadavers and these suits are reinforcing that, yes, they killed these people and they've been dead for a long time. And yeah, again, it did add to the mystery of, oh, well, obviously they died because one of the things that they talked about was, when they met the first one was, well, maybe he died because he ran out of oxygen. But in his suit, there's still plenty of oxygen.
The bubble was still up, and they changed his arm. And
yeah. So
I think we have already hinted that the the real villain here was the corporation.
Yeah. What did you think of the suit walkers?
Me?
Yes, Joseph. Sorry, I should say names. Joseph.
My big problem with the suits is that they can clearly operate without a person inside them. So why are there people inside them in the first place?
So my thought for that was, yeah, they can do work on their own, but it seemed to be like a very rudimentary, like, bit of work. I think that the doctor said something about it does like basic skills, or like making it sound like if you just kind of do dumb day-to-day things like this can do your job. So watch out, Nardole.
Oh, that's right.
So you could take a stab at Nardole there.
Because we hate Nardole.
Yeah. He's the perfect fall guy. Nardole's going to team up with the Master and be like, you know what? This guy actually treats me better.
I would like that plot twist.
Yeah. I shouldn't have said mean things to you.
But yeah, so whatever it is they're trying to get, it is better to keep throwing people at the problem than it is to actually just figure out how to get it easier. That's the evil corporation angle.
Or it's like putting people in the suits makes it like, yeah, sure, the suits can go around and do things, but people make it actually a little bit more efficient. So if they're operating below the suit's capability, then there's no reason for them to be there. They're wasting precious oxygen. So we might as well kill them and send in another team. That's what I got from it.
And also, did the doctor say the other team, or are they going to just go die?
They probably just died.
Okay, cool. I think we need a drink.
And are we ready to be back?
Yeah.
We're back.
Cheers.
Cheers to that. Yeah. So,
when we last left our doctor,
so our doctor he destroyed his screwdriver, trying to get away from this suit.
It got smashed.
Yes,
he was trying to do something, and then
I thought it like electrically exploded, or like electrically.
The suit smashed it.
Oh, it's okay.
It's like it knew.
But it like something happened to the suit, like it overloaded the suit, right? Like there's a
So after the Sonic got it, it was no longer active, and he was able to get close to it without worrying about troubles.
Yeah. So he was also, the doctor was in process of finding out what had happened, contacting these folks on another part of the space station. We will call them the tailies.
Oh, the others?
The others? No.
That sounds a little bit better.
Okay. But that yeah. So there were the others walking around here, and so they are the last group of surviving people. These are the people that were mining for copper.
They were off the grid when the suit update came in.
Yes.
Right. So they and I think at this point they look out and go, oh, wait a second, 7, or they say like 40 minus 7 or 37 or something. Yeah, 40 minus 37. And then they look out and there's like all of these suit walkers out on the space station, zombified. And that was kind of a fun little moment of chills with the flashing lights and
hot and cold running chills
and an orchestral sting.
Oh, Sting is there.
Yes, Sting is there in this one.
Well, there were a couple of fun things here. So, to get the attention or the trust of the others, the doctor uses psychic paper.
Oh, yeah.
He's like,
classic. I love that. Yeah. I'm glad we got the psychic paper back. If I could say one thing about this season, psychic paper makes me happy.
Okay. Now I know how to wrap your Christmas gift.
Well, this season's, I think, gotten good again. Like, the last two weren't necessarily bad, but this season is just, like, back on track.
Back on track.
Whereas Moffat was trying to take us through these strange and not fun places. Now that he's leaving, he's like, fine, whatever, just do your Doctor Who. And it's back, and it's good. It's better than ever.
So there's that little bit where they get rescued, or they run in. They're running away from. Are they are running away, right, from some more folks, and they just make it in. And there's a team, and then there's the Bloomin.
Oh yes, our Bolian friend.
The person, our Bolian friend, our Tobias Funke.
Well, no, it was fun because Bill seemed surprised to see him, and there was a little allegory there for racism because she was being a little racist, and he can't help that he's blue.
Right, could not help that,
and he was shocked that she would react this way.
Right,
and then she said, "Well, I'm used to being, discriminated against."
Yeah, on the receiving end.
And he was like, "Why?" And that was nice.
Nice little rapport of, we know what's happening in the world.
And then he died.
Spoilers.
Oh, sorry. I really hope you've watched the episode by now, folks.
Wait, did he die?
Yes.
He was Da-Ren.
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 Da-Ren. Da-Ren.
Although I think someone else died first, but he didn't make it.
Well, the girlfriend of the one dude died the very first.
Well, yes, okay,
Yeah.
but after that, then like
the one guy that
one dude did die, and then blue dude.
But the girlfriend who her radio wasn't working revealed she was ready to have the one dude's babies.
Oh yeah,
and then she dies, and that's a little rough.
We don't know though if were they in a relationship or was this just like, I admire you so much I want to have your babies. Which at that point,
I got the impression they were together.
Okay,
Yes,
because
he looked at her fondly, even though she was dead later.
I think that yes, that's right. But also, I think there were a few lines in there that they might have met because of this expedition.
Yeah,
they are together now.
So it wasn't just like somebody who was just
she was not
unstably into the person.
Correct.
I want to get pregnant.
I like you.
Which that's kind of how it seemed like it played out in that beginning point, where it was like, that's how it kind of gave you the impression how it was playing out. But it's like, oh, he just couldn't hear her because her communicator wasn't working.
Well, so I watched the episode about 1.5 times. And
okay,
I definitely got a lot more from it the second time around.
Or the first and a half time, whatever.
Right,
right.
The first I watched it initially, and I was quite inebriated. So I got it and I liked it, but then the second time on Sunday, I was like, "Oh no, I really like it." So,
oh no!
But I did read at least one other review from somebody that said something similar. Like the second time around, you get a lot more from it
because you're just starting to like watch into this kind of unsure and
the
cautious.
Stockholm syndrome really starts to set in on the second viewing.
Joseph, I think that the premise was something along the lines of this really should have been a two-parter. So there was so much crammed in there.
There was a lot
that you have to really watch it twice to unpack it all.
That just sounds like an excuse for running a bad episode.
It was a really good episode. I mean, I think it was A levels, or whatever they say in the UK.
I don't know. It got
high marks.
It was Brillo.
Brillo?
Yes.
What's that?
I don't know. I think some British people say. If I'm wrong, write in and then tell me, and I'll stop saying that.
They just say Brill.
Brill.
Oh, Brill. Oh, see, I don't even know.
No, Brillo is a pad that you use.
It is a pad.
Clean dishes.
And it's pretty good. It's a pretty good pad. I might say it's fantastic.
I would say it's stainless in the steel category.
So I had not heard the people think there should be more of this premise.
They could not get enough, Joseph.
It was pretty straightforward.
Well, I think you would be in the minority in that.
I just wonder what more could they tell us about the situation?
Well, so like a lot of the stuff was like very densely packed. There would have been more room to explore that relationship from the beginning.
The character, set more things up.
To explore the racism. To explore all these things that they...
I want to explore racism more.
To explore all these things that they touch upon, but can never really dig into.
There were a lot of things that were, were touched upon. And so we probably could have gotten more about the plight of
the person you can't remember the name of?
Darrell.
Yeah. Let's hear more about that guy.
Darren.
Darrell.
We don't really care about cannon fodder. Well, I don't know what difference it makes.
But I'm just kind of thinking back to the flood episodes.
Oh, remember the flood and
after the flood.
We always have the flood.
Yes, where you had the relationship of the folks, and then one of the characters dies, and then the other person has to, like, they can go back in time a little bit, and they can't interact, and there's like that turmoil happening there.
But that's why it's interesting, though, is because there's a complicated time travel thing happening with these people that we need to care about in order for this to mean something. In this episode, everybody who dies is meant to die because they aren't important. They are red shirts. They fulfilled their purpose. Just this once, everybody dies.
So, going back to what I was saying way at the beginning about loving Capaldi, more great lines around this point where he's saying, I'm the doctor. I'll do everything in my power to save all of your lives. And when I do, you'll spend the rest of your lives wondering who I am and why I helped you. Which is a bit of a Moffat speech, but still, I love those things from the doctor.
Yes.
Like those big pronouncements, like, I got this, don't you worry.
Moffat does have a lot of those, and even if he doesn't write them, I'm saying in his tenure, they pop up frequently.
They do.
But it's still, like, this kind of one, it's kind of nice. It's like, I love when the doctor is declaring himself, like, I'm the hero, I'm going to save you, don't you worry.
Though RTD had those moments too, or I should say, David Tennant had those moments too, pre-Moffat.
A little less common.
Right, right.
It's definitely the hallmark of the Moffat era is the big, I am the doctor. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, making the big speeches. Have they gone out onto the space station yet? Out into open space?
Oh, we've been out in space for so long now.
Have they gotten to the spacesuits yet?
Yes.
All right. Interesting that they're called Ganymede.
Is that interesting?
That is a name that's popped up throughout Doctor Who.
Also, more importantly, Ganymede is it's a name from Shakespeare.
Oh.
It's from...
a lot of the moons are named after Shakespeare things.
It's from As You Like It. One of the characters... the character... Rosalind is going out and disguising herself as a man. And so she she dresses in man's fashion and changes her name to Ganymede. But that's one of the things that I first noticed when noticing that, like, welcome to the Ganymede thing. And so, other than that was a piece of clothing that they wore to drastically alter their state, I don't know. I'd like to actually try to find out why it was called Ganymede.
Okay, well, Ganymede's a moon
of Jupiter.
Is there what? So Shakespeare stole the name Ganymede from something else.
But
where did it come from before that? I don't know.
Well, no. So just in my random musings looking at this episode, Ganymede's come up like 5 times before this. So I think it's more about, it's just, it's not amusing. It does not actually mean anything. It's more of just a...
has to mean something, Gabe.
It's this season's Bad Wolf.
It's a tongue-in-cheek, like, we've used this a lot.
Oh.
I think I ran across that in the BBC America 10 Things About This Episode post.
By Fraser McAlpine?
Probably.
Yeah.
Fraser. So yeah, it's probably actually, because I think that they used it for the Shakespeare took it from the moon, unless it was.
Yes, Fraser McAlpine wrote this. So Ganymede Systems, the company that supplied the smart suits, are named after Jupiter's largest moon
and most boring.
It's a name of a space station from Revenge of the Cybermen, and it's a tool, the Ganymede driver in the Hand of Fear. It's also audio adventure, The Immortal... It's in the audio adventure, The Immortal Beloved. And the Doctor meets Ganymede, cupbearer to Zeus, after whom the moon was originally named. So in terms of this episode, I think it's just...
It's just a name.
Yeah. But it's a name that's been used, so it's like wink, wink.
Right.
But not having anything to do with Shakespeare. So I was looking into because they put on the suits, and the suits, like, protect them, and there was, like, an element of Rosalind sought protection in this costume of a man as she escaped her situation.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I was going into it but no, that was just me, like, looking for things that weren't there.
No, you could justify that. You have evidence.
I have evidence.
You need to tweet at Jamie Matheson right now.
I have a master's degree in theater. That's what I have.
That'd be one of those things where if I was the writer and you came to me with that, I would say, "Oh yes, that's exactly what I meant. You figured it out. Good job."
Now take 20 steps that way, away from my location. So there's a big problem, Gabe.
What's that, Matt?
Bill's headset does not work.
Well, Bill's suit is rife with problems.
Yes, rife with problems. Yes, and you cannot go out into the vacuum of space without your helmet.
Which her helmet was not working.
Her helmet was not working. She did have the oxygen membrane.
But that would not survive the vacuum of space.
Correct.
So the Doctor initially gives Bill his helmet.
Which results in him going blind.
Yes. But it gets Bill mostly through the outside of the station, because they were trying to get to a part of the station that was not on the map, because the suits couldn't operate within that part not on the map.
Right.
But it's not that simple, and Bill eventually gets turned into a not zombie.
So I can't remember. What was the reason why that needed to happen?
Because her suit still would not take the helmet, and they still had to go...
Well, I also believe that the suit just locked her boots down, so she couldn't walk.
Right, because it wanted to be repaired or something like that. It was like in a state like, it's time to repair me. I'm working properly.
And they tried to fiddle with it, but they were like, do not.
And then it really locked down. Suit. Yeah, it's like, this is you're violating suit parameters or whatever. So basically, the suit just does what it gets programmed to do. But the Doctor notices, oh wait, it doesn't have enough power left because it's a busted suit. So it doesn't actually kill her. It just sort of like numbs her, I guess.
Well, he does give her the kind of brave speech of, you'll go through hell, but I'll be on the other side waiting. So that's like the Doctor's bravado of, like, oh, I'm so sorry, but I'm gonna fix this. I'll be there for you. Which, again, lends myself to why I love this episode. It is the Doctor being doctory.
Yes. Yeah.
But it still was a little, in the moment, like touch and go. Like, oh boy, this is quite the initiation for Bill.
Yeah, having to, like, okay, you're basically gonna kind of have to die. But don't worry, not really.
You're dead-ish.
And he couldn't tell her that because the suit was listening.
Stasis-like.
Yeah.
It was like trying to do the thing where it short circuits her nervous system, but it couldn't quite go all the way. So she wasn't out of oxygen. So that means that she was still breathing in the bubble.
She just needed that last burst of oxygen to bring her back.
Right, when it got replenished from the other suits.
Well, that was the big revelation, I think, that a lot of the zombies, I did air quotes there.
The suit walkers.
Still had oxygen left. They still had oxygen, because this is the big thing, is this corporation is selling its workers oxygen. Most of them still had credits left, so they still had oxygen in their suits when they were killed.
And that's
Right.
actually when the first guy you noticed, when they say, oh, this guy, he probably ran oxygen, but you see his wrist, he still has like 9 oxygen credits on his wrist. He's like well on the green.
Yeah.
So that was never his problem.
Right.
He was just lazy.
Yep. That's what happens. That's sloth.
Well, no, but this is roughly...
The Ganymede system does not tolerate sloth.
This is also the point, which is also very classic Who, of the Doctor needing to convince the random assortment of life forms, they're not all human, that he's on their side, and he's trying to indict the corporation. And he points out, this is, like, for me, spot on, because I'm somebody, it's probably obvious, anybody who's listened to the podcast for a bit, that I'm critical of capitalism.
Yes.
So
It has some flaws.
But the little bit here when the Doctor said, this is the endpoint of capitalism where human life has no value.
Yes.
So he's trying to convince these people that are left that the corporation is out for them. And he's saying that ship that's on its way, it's not a rescue ship, it's your replacements. And
it left before the distress signal was called. Like, they decided, these guys aren't working out.
But he also, it seemed like at this point, like, wasn't sure that he was fully ready to save everybody.
Yeah.
Because he said some good things like dying well is the finish line.
Yeah. Like, that was a great whole, like, setup. Because, so everybody was really, really tense at this point. We had the one girl that pulled the gun on him, saying, I don't think that, you let this other person die, and they trusted you, so why should we trust you? And he had some good moments, like when he locked everybody out and said, like, oh, that's what I did. I thought I was twittering or tweeting.
Yeah. One of the other great lines here was, the universe is your crustacean.
Oh, yes. Crustacean.
Because, the universe is your oyster, but it's your crustacean.
So he goes on to, he has this great speech about dying well. This is what we're going to do. We're going to explode in a big fiery brightness seen across the universe.
Exploding the station is the one way to ensure the corporation loses.
Right.
But it's also the one way to ensure that you win as he turns the tables like the Doctor does.
Yes. Yeah, so again, the speech was bravado, and the Doctor really did have a handle on things, and he succeeds.
He does.
Like you do.
Because if they were to kill the people, then the station would explode because he wired their life signs into the core. And thusly, they became the most valuable things on the station.
Right.
And that's also an indictment of capitalism, in a way. Or not. Don't look at me like that.
Well, yeah.
Oh, that was
I wanted
a
you
keep going.
Yeah, continue.
That's all I got.
It was good.
Yes. Yeah, it was great. And that was one of the things, too, that from past episodes where I expressed that I was missing. I wanted that outthinking the enemy, which was kind of like an unseen enemy, but you saw the results of that enemy right here. The big wigs, the other suits back at the offices, making the decisions. Vultures.
I mean, I think especially for right now, where we're at in the world, this was the perfect sci-fi episode for our moment in time.
Yeah. Although it could have been a little bit more but
Collar tug.
No, but seriously, I mean, like this is why I love the episode. This is why I loved The Nice. It means something.
Yeah.
The writers here are really giving us something, and I actually jotted a few notes from Jamie Matheson that he was talking about. He was worried that the line about the endpoint of capitalism, where human life has no value, he was worried it was too political. But he said that's really the point of the episode.
Yeah.
So we know from the writer's mouth that was what he intended.
So then I guess he wasn't too worried that it would be too political.
Oh, I think
he was worried that people would take it the wrong, would be like angry about it.
I think he was worried that it wouldn't get made.
Oh, okay.
Here we are.
Well, I think I might have read that article, but the headline was like, Jamie Matheson is worried that his episode was too political.
Yeah.
But and I was like, really? Because it seemed like you wouldn't have written that unless you intended it to be political.
So he continues on in that same quote that the point of the episode is this is where we could end up if we're not careful.
Right.
In a way, it's a dark fairy tale, and it's obviously fantastical, but the idea of corporations going, if we can get away with it, the people at the bottom of the food chain would be worth nothing.
Well, I think that you can see that, too, with a lot of the way that, there are certain jobs where, if some employers could get away with, and people that I've worked for, too, if they could get away with not paying you, they would.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's just that whole what's the minimum that I can do?
Yeah.
And I know that part of that's not necessarily because I want to eat my fat cat oysters.
Your avocado toast.
Yeah, avocado toast. But in some respects, it's like I just want to keep my business afloat. But I've also heard there's also that idea of capitalism of I've heard of it as when of done right, it's it allows things, if you let things fail, then the bad things burn up and pitter away.
Well, I think not to get too political, but the problem with capitalism is it's never done right.
Exactly.
Same thing like the problem with socialism, it's never done right. So both systems are flawed in their pure form.
Yeah.
But if we look at it's not hard to imagine, because it happens where employers want to steal wages, not pay their employees. It comes down to these big companies. The shareholders want to get the most for nothing, and us people at the bottom are the ones that get screwed. And I think that is, as Matheson said, that's the end point of this episode.
Yeah, where it's like if you're not careful, this is where this is headed.
Yeah.
So, a dark cautionary fairy tale.
And I mean, it's not even that cautionary, because we have examples from the past when people would go to work on, like, say, even Ford. When Ford first started out, they had these factory towns where Ford employed you, but then you paid Ford rent to live there. You paid Ford for your groceries, and it's unseemly.
Unseemly. Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Another thing on the Arrow of Time.
There's a long history of... Luckily, we've gotten away from that.
I'm glad I have a Corolla.
The 20th century, for us Americans, brought us away from that movement for the most part. But yeah, there was this company town thing that was a pretty prevalent through much of Northern America and even parts of Europe in the early 20th century and the late 19th century.
Yeah. Well, you don't hear of Thomas Toyota doing anything like that.
Well, I'm not sure the Japanese don't have company towns, but I don't know enough to comment on that in Japan. But yeah, so just to bring it back to the episode,
right?
I think that was handled very well.
Yes, it was. I agree. I definitely. And here's the thing: I had fun watching it, but it definitely struck some chords in me, and so I think that it was, in my mind, done well. I also liked. I thought that the monsters. I enjoyed the monsters. I thought that they were worthwhile and a good, nice little foe. Even if they were neat. They were a neat little gadget.
No, not that thing.
Oh,
go
yes.
gadget.
Yeah, yes, gadget. Funny robots.
One of the things I've noticed from this season, and I've also read a bit of this too, by and large, the monsters this season are secondary to the human stories.
Right.
And I think that's kind of crucial. Why this season feels more fun, more accessible, is it's gotten kind of back to that. It's the Doctor and the companions off adventuring, and it's less of... Actually, I have a couple quotes here.
Quotes.
So the Nerdist had two things that I wrote down, saying the episode moves towards hard sci-fi, which I also noted that I agreed.
Hard sci-fi, Joseph. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it moves toward it. But everyone keeps saying this is fun. There was nothing fun about this episode. This episode was bleak and dark. And that's not what I watched Doctor Who for. Give me a message, sure. Go for it. That's fine.
So back to reviews. The Guardian review said it's a focus on the people rather than how clever the writing can be. That seems to be gone so far.
There's definitely not been any of the how clever am I stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yes, that is true.
These are mostly one-offs that showcase the fantastic relationship of Bill and the Doctor.
I still think we're not getting enough Bill. I feel like these last two episodes, she's kind of been...
Well,
yes, she's here, but please look at the Doctor.
Here's the interesting thing about Bill. Usually in these episodes, there's been times where the Doctor has gotten himself into a sticky situation, and the companion does what they do. They see something that normally they would overlook, or the Doctor has overlooked, and they figure out that last little piece of the puzzle that the Doctor just missed that saves the day. This piece that did not happen in this episode. Bill did not do anything to further, to help the Doctor. If anything, hindered the Doctor.
The Doctor saved her.
The Doctor saved her and became blind in the process.
But I'm okay with this in this case because that's the Doctor.
And yeah, maybe that needed to happen. It was like, I need a chance to...
The Doctor...
be the Doctor.
Gets these sentimental attachments to his companions, which is when I think he's at his best. That right. His companions are what grounds him. So when he saw Bill at risk, he risked his own life because he couldn't stand the idea of her being injured.
Right.
And that sacrifice, maybe even a little bit of weakness on the Doctor's part, definitely, saved Bill to his own detriment. But that again, those sacrifices are why I love the character of the Doctor. And that's one thing that I think is more or less universal from the modern era of Doctor Who, the 1995 to now. This is that Doctor's unifying theme is, I will die for my companions.
Unless it's Wilf.
Yeah, it was a nice change from Wilf, actually. No speeches. I could do so much better. I guess, do you have any more quotes?
Yeah, so that same Guardian review noted that these first 5 episodes have been amazing, which I personally agree. But
I wouldn't say amazing.
He or she, I forget the writer of this review. I think, first of all, back to that, I say amazing. But this writer of this review says, there is frustration that perhaps this is a glimpse of what Capaldi seasons could have been.
Oh, see, Moffat ruined the past two?
Because this season so far has been easily the best of the entire Moffat era, in my opinion.
In your opinion.
And certainly the best of the Capaldi seasons, but I would say the best of all of the Moffat era is happening right now. It's a little sad that's happening right now at the very end.
What is your thoughts on that, Joseph?
Why do I have to always be the thoughtsman? I think the Capaldi's best episode is the Zygon inversion. That's all I know.
That was good. I'm going to say that was good.
Last season was pretty dope. I just want to say to all the critics out there.
This season so far, Capaldi has had a little bit of a lighter touch, a little bit of a glimmer in his eye.
He has, yes.
He's still got his little salty bits, which is part of the fun. But I really have nothing to complain about. I mean, the Doctor and Bill have been a kind of magic duo that I'm going to be sad to see it end.
Yeah.
And as you all know, I spent years defending Clara.
You did, yes.
I loved Clara. So I don't fault Peter Capaldi or Jenna Coleman. I fault Moffat for his wanting to be, I'm so clever. I have this overarching giant story arc for these characters that kind of didn't pay off.
Right.
That's, I think, the issue. It's not so much the actors, but now, set free from all that, we see Capaldi and Bill, or Capaldi and Pearl Mackie, just being fun. And that's ultimately why I think I fell in love with Doctor Who, was the fun.
Yeah. And so to answer the question, or you didn't really ask a question, you just made a statement about it being bleak. It was very dark. It was very, very dark, and it had very dark tones. And although I would say that the funness came about with the Doctor and how he was in the situations. And I feel like in this episode specifically, we got a lot of lighter, jokey lines. We had more. I mean, Nardole was on this with us for this adventure, which I think which changed things a whole lot more. Especially at the end when they're hugging and he was just like, cuddle. That was fun. But also, speaking of Nardole, I think that he had a really great end to this episode where he's kind of taking the Doctor to task, telling him we can't be doing this anymore. You almost died, and you know it's that's irresponsible. You know what's down there. If you died, you know what could happen, and saying that this thing has some way of kind of knowing what's kind of going on with the Doctor. So I thought that was a really good, empowering moment for Nardole. Like him really, like, no, I'm not like, ha ha ha, yeah, you had your laughs, Doctor, but this is serious, and I'm holding you to this because I know how serious it is. You know how serious it is, but you're not confronting it. But like, you gotta stop this. And then he reveals in the cheesiest way possible that he's blind.
I can't see, Nardole.
See anything forever. And then there goes, I'm still blind. And then it goes black. I was
that's Moffat.
Saddened by that.
That's totally Moffat.
Yeah.
It was just that part was just so cheesy to me. I don't know.
See, instead of writing like one episode or two episodes this season, Moffat's just writing the end of every episode.
Yeah,
so he can get his name and everything. It's like, I did this too. Look at me.
Well,
I'm Russell T Davies. Wait,
yes,
you say that, Joseph, but the next episode's written by Moffat.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought it was written by the cat food woman.
No, we have the end of the season for that.
Oh, I was looking forward to that one.
She's writing the last episode of Doctor Who ever again.
No. She's writing the last episode, not written by Moffat.
Really?
Yeah.
So we have a Moffat episode. After that, it's a Peter Harness and Moffat combo.
But so we do know...
that was the Zygon invasion version, right?
We do know that there's a 3-parter coming out.
Yeah.
So the next week is the first of 3 parts.
Oh boy.
Written by 3 different authors.
Strap in, folks, because this is going to be a wild ride.
So who do we have?
Next week is Moffat. The following week, the Pyramid at the End of the World, is Peter Harness.
Shel Silverstein. Oh.
And Stephen Moffat. He lost his sole credit because I think people are like, oh, Harness.
What did Peter Harness do by himself that was just a big...
Kill the Moon.
Oh, gosh. So it's all right.
Normally, after you do something like that, you don't ever work in this town again.
But then Stephen Moffat's going to muddy his name. Well, okay,
I'll show you how to write an episode, Hannes.
But Peter Harness and Moffat, didn't they do the Zygon inversion together?
They never shared a credit.
I thought
there was a 2-parter, and one got one part and one got the other part.
And Moffat got the good part somehow.
Well, I'll look it up because let's not embarrass ourselves here on this podcast.
We embarrass ourselves regularly.
That's what we do. Embarrassment is our game.
All right, so apparently I was close. Peter Harness got the sole credit for the Zygon invasion, and then he co-wrote the inversion with Moffat.
Okay.
So that's mostly Moffat, I'm guessing. Somehow, Moffat saved the day.
Yeah, so this time we have...
Which, the Zygon invasion was a big piece of dump.
Yeah, that was awful. And then the inversion, it actually lived up to its name and inverted it, and it was pretty good.
So then the finale of this 3-parter will be from somebody I admire, Toby Whithouse, of Being Human. He will give us the lie of the land.
He also...
I think last time you asked me, I'm like, no, yes, it's lie, L-I-E.
Yeah. We're lying about it because it's a pun.
We're
not laying down on the land.
Or soap.
Or also it's not soap yet.
L-Y-E.
Yeah. No, that'd be more interesting. Donna, we need to go clean the land. Wait, Donna. Wow, I'm a couple of companions back, aren't I?
Donna. So I do have a few crumbs if you're about done with this episode.
Yes, I'm done.
I'm dusted and done. Let's put this in the bin.
So I hinted at the fluid link early on that the doctor told Nardole we can't fly without this thing.
Right.
It's not new for this episode. It was first mentioned in the Daleks from the first Doctor story. So when the first Doctor landed on Skaro, he claimed they had to replenish the mercury in the fluid link.
Oh, and that planet was teeming with mercury, right?
Well, it was an excuse to we can't say for sure whether the Doctor was being honest and needed Mercury, and he's since fixed that problem,
or if he just,
or whether the Doctor was lying to get an excuse to explore Skaro.
Like that's his lie, his go-to lie. Oh, the
fluid link is busted.
Yes.
Everybody on the TARDIS.
But in any case, that was.
That's a good crumb. That's a sizable crumb right there, Gabe.
It's a nice callback to the first.
That's like a whole on cake.
And we also can confirm that Michelle Gomez will be leaving the series after this season.
But that doesn't make any sense because she's a guest star. So she can't leave what she's not already on.
You can't have guest stars in your movie.
So she won't be returning to Doctor Who after this season.
That was a Misty joke. Sorry.
Yes, it was.
I don't actually think this is a really long movie. This is not Twin Peaks.
So when you look at Wikipedia right now, she's listed as the current master.
Even if she is the Ronnie.
So she's leaving her recurring part as the master after this season. Which could mean that if you want to be semantic, she could be coming on as the Ronnie or something.
John Sim is the master who's going to come out and then be like, "Ha, just kidding. That's the master all the time. I'm the Ronnie." And you guys didn't know who the Ronnie is because you're all young and don't look back to the classics, especially the 6th Doctor or the 7th Doctor. And if you didn't look at those 2 doctors who were, I guess, kind of unpopular in mainstream, then I'm really reaching here. But I think that could be a thing that could be going through people's minds. That's what I'm clinging on to. She is the Ronnie. Bring back the Ronnie.
Well, more importantly, I would like to point out that I will not be returning to Doctor Who next season either.
Oh no. You just made a joke that was unfunny to all of us because it hit us emotionally.
Well, again, I'll just say I loved Oxygen. I think this has been a fantastic season of Doctor Who so far.
I enjoyed Oxygen. We know how you felt about it, Joseph. You did not care for it.
He hates everything.
I think this is another one of those episodes where, I mean, I don't like all the overcomplicated story arcs, but at the same time, we didn't really get anywhere. We didn't really learn anything about our companion. Nothing really happened.
Do we need to learn something about...
Yes, the companion's the most important character on the show.
It just seems like one of the things that we were complaining about before, about everything being so heavy on the companion, about, we have to figure out why is Amy, and
that was problematic in those situations where the companion became a prop. But when the companion is actually being a character who we get to know and like... And that's what it's about. And Bill is not getting her time here. She's almost getting Donna shoved out of the picture. In favor of other stuff. And that's what I don't like. And it's been happening every single episode.
Well, the problem...
They killed her in this episode for a bit so the Doctor could shine. It's not where I want to be with the Doctor Who.
The Doctor was brilliant, though. But that's also the problem with this kind of like compression. Like I mentioned, I had read a review, which I don't remember which one now, that said this episode should have been a 2-parter. We're trying to cram so much in. There's not time to get all of that companion.
We could have gotten more Bill.
There's not time right now. We're trying to tell like 2 years worth of stuff in a year.
But why? Why are we doing that?
Because they're having a new cast in a year. Less than a year now. Incidentally, for this episode being the 5th to air, it was one of the later ones to be filmed. I saw that it was filmed from like October 15th to November 15th of last year.
So they're showing them out of order?
Yes.
Oh boy.
Yeah, like Dr. Mysterio was like filmed like
last week.
Like it was like deep within the season or something. Like it was like in the middle episodes.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I looked on like Doctor Who like Wikipedia and it just like for the list of all the episodes because I just want to see like what are the episodes coming up, and like who's writing them. And then also it went to like another list. I'm like, whoa, these are all out of order. What's going on? I'm like, oh, that's the filming list right there. Yeah. I was like, wow, that's crazy. But they did film like, I think the first several episodes like in order.
Like the first 3 were in order, and now we're all wonky.
Wonky, yes. So yes. I guess I want to go back and watch some of these episodes and really kind of like the ones that maybe I didn't like as much. Although here's my question, Gabe, because you said that this is an amazing season, possibly one of the best. You had quite the distaste for Smile.
So,
are you going to walk that back?
No. But I think that...
how would you rank things now?
I think that it's all contextual. So, amongst the quality of this season in general, Smile is by far the low point. But it's still not, like, horrendous. Yeah, so if I were to give them scores on a 10-point scale... I would probably do something like the pilot 8, Smile 6, 6.5, Thin Ice 9 or 9.5. I know Joseph hates those.
You've added points to your scale.
Knock Knock.
That's a solid 7.75.
7.75.
Oh, I forgot about Knock Knock. That was last week, right?
Yeah. And then Oxygen back up to like a 9. So yeah, I mean, I think that in the context of the season, Smile is a low one, but it wasn't awful. Like, I don't look at that and want to like claw my eyes out.
It was awesome because this season is
the season's good, yeah,
and every episode has been awesome.
I do want to say no episode has been eye claw out worthy so far. They've all been watchable. But that's mostly the best I can say about most of these episodes is they've been watchable.
I think you're selling it short, personally.
I'm not getting out of Doctor Who what I want to get out of Doctor Who. And maybe I can't define that particularly well after like 5 or 7 beers. But I want more... Whatever we were getting in the David Tennant era, I want more of that. I want more colors and fun and not morals and bleakness.
Well, the morals and bleakness is Doctor Who. That is the show.
Not the show I remember. I remember running around with farting aliens and like trying to save the world.
That is true.
Like that's what I remember from Doctor Who. This is not it.
See, for me, like should be the title of this episode.
Farting aliens.
No, morals and bleakness.
Morals and bleakness.
That for me, that is Doctor Who. But it's decidedly left morals and sci-fi bleakness. That's the show for me. That's from the classic era, the best of the classic era, through RTD. That's the show.
So you like the points where like Tom Baker was deciding whether or not he should commit genocide on the Daleks. Like
that was actually a really good episode.
Yeah, when we first meet Davros and
that was actually for me high sci-fi.
See, I'll take the episodes where a space pirate with a robot bird is trying to compress planets into fuel over that stuff any day. Well, if we're going classic here,
as the Americans say, I'm an untouched liberal, so whatever.
But I mean, then we go again, like to the Zygon inversion, and you have that magnificent speech, which I don't think anybody has a problem with.
No, that was fantastic all around.
Yeah,
I guess I don't know what I want from TV. I think that's what it comes down to.
Just nothing.
Well, I think that this is also very telling of Doctor Who because you can watch it for very different reasons because it's that type of show where it is so many different things.
I mean, one of my favorite episodes is the stupid one with the cube. What was that one called?
Cubert.
Power of 3.
Power of 3.
Oh, sorry.
That episode goes nowhere. Nothing happens in it, but it's so fun and I love it.
Why do I remember the podcast episodes that we called it?
The names instead of the TV shows, but the actual podcast. No, that's good. Yes. I can't remember anything.
That was the era we had good titles.
Yes. Roommates on a Podcast is one of my favorite.
Well, no, but for me, what it comes down to is I either want to watch an episode that means something, like this season has, or I want to watch something that has a compelling human story, like so many of the Amy Rory Levin stories did.
Yeah.
Those, for me, those are what hits me. But again, the stories are very diverse. The fans are very diverse. Everyone has something else they get from Doctor Who.
Right.
I think that's a lesson we've all learned.
No, but like a story like this clearly gets me on like all cylinders. That's not a good metaphor. This episode like this is tickling all my spots.
No, it's even worse.
So obviously this is what adds that fuel to my fandom fire. And then I suffer through some of the more Bubkiss episodes.
Bubkiss. Anyway, have we said everything that we want to say about this?
There may be one question left.
One question left.
The oldest question?
The first question.
Most important question.
Do you have a WhoTube?
I do, actually. So this week's WhoTube comes from, actually we have been doing it weekly, so there you go. Nanner. It is entitled Doctor Who Fan Vid.
No!
Photograph. Ed Sheeran. I will say this. I enjoyed this WhoTube. However, there wasn't a whole lot of original things I noticed in the title of it. Not necessarily bad. You get more hits that way, but it was a fact that I realized because it's simply a Doctor Who fan vid, and then the name of the song, and then who wrote the song. So, but you know what? I appreciate it. Streamlines those people straight to your Doctor Who fan vid, which is what I type in these days to find these. And you did a great job. So, and this is ZIMENGWU.
Zimingabo. What?
Yes. Washington University. I don't know. But yeah, it's great. There's like a lot of clips from the current installment of Doctor Who's Doctors to the song Photograph by Ed Sheeran. And I've been listening to a lot of Ed Sheeran lately, and it's one of the first songs that got me into him, and it is fun, not bleak at all. So
I like it.
Go check it out. I think I should I'll have to
cast it to our stream box.
Yeah, cast it to our stream box. So that was our WhoTube segment. And if you wanted to get a hold of us, go ahead and check us out on iTunes. Rate us, comment on us. We like that thing. And if you'd like to contact us, go to @AOT Podcast at Twitter and tweet us things.
Or go to our website, aotpodcast.com, and you can comment there, which we had some comments recently. We should look into those and reply to them.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Yes.
You're doing podcasts again. Yay.
Basically.
You can also find us on Facebook. Just search for Arrow of Time Podcast.
Yes. And that should be the long and short of it.
Yeah, there might be some other things. I mean, if you find it, cool.
Yeah, we're on YouTube occasionally.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking? Now that we're all into not editing our podcasts anymore, should put like a camera and
we'll do live streams.
Yeah. We'd be like, hey, we're doing this now.
Log in on YouTube and see us live via YouTube. I said that already. Don't do that, folks.
No, don't do that. No, that's a terrible idea. Yes, so with that said, I have been Matt.
I've been Joseph.
I have been Gabe.
And this has been The Arrow of Time.